What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Just a guy on my lunch break, aka Cory. Talk about all kinds of things on here, mostly kratom. I'm gonna make this video short if possible. As you know, I'm very long-winded. Sometimes I say that and then I still end up giving you guys 35 minutes of content. So we'll see how that works out. But it's a beautiful day out here today. Beautiful view of the creek down below. In fact, let me show you guys where it is that I'm recording every day. Nice, right? Trying to get out there in that a little bit. Okay, so if you've not already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for starters. I would appreciate that. That is your payment, is just hitting that subscribe button. Without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get to some comments that I have from yesterday's video. The first one is from @FurnitureEmbedding776. I'm taking 42 grams a day. I know it's a lot, but it got me off of a nasty alcohol habit of 24 beers a day daily, combined with tons of shitty food. I'm exercising, eating healthy now, taking vitamins. I'm losing weight and putting on some muscle. I know kratom isn't great for the test levels, but eating and drinking like I was absolutely tanks your testosterone levels, especially beer. I know kratom isn't the healthiest thing in the world, but it's much better than what I was doing before. I don't intend to be on it forever, but it's giving me the opportunity to step away from my alcohol addiction and work on other things that need to be changed that can only be accomplished if I'm not drinking. I worry about my liver, kidneys too, but nothing could be worse than what I was doing to my liver with the alcohol and crap food habit. I've tested tapering down with kratom last month, and it wasn't super hard with a slow taper. Got down to 20 grams per day, but the alcohol cravings come back stronger as I go down on the kratom. They are still there while on the high dose of kratom, but I can control them. Yeah, so first off, thanks for the comment, man. And again, you know, this is a perfect example of you get all kinds of different levels on here and different people coming from different schools of thought. And obviously, this is an individual who was drinking a case of beer a day. You know, obviously, that's no bueno. Obviously, alcohol is absolutely, you know, horrible for the liver and the kidneys and all that. You know, your liver and your kidneys have trouble processing all of that. You know, no one can really sit here and do an apples to oranges comparison, because beer and kratom are two completely different substances. So it will kind of, and especially with the lack of substantial studies that have been done on kratom and its long-term effects on like your liver and other body systems, it's difficult to sit here and compare the two and say, well, kratom's probably just as bad, or alcohol's got to be way worse than kratom. And you know, no one really knows. One thing we do know is a lot of alcohol on a regular basis is horrible for the liver and can cause cirrhosis of the liver. You know, fatty liver in and of itself is pretty common. I actually got diagnosed with that one time. I mean, look at me, I'm fit, you know, and when I actually was diagnosed with it, this was probably 5 or 6 years ago, bro. I was pretty fit at that time. I was probably maybe 15 to 20 pounds overweight at that time, which that's a lot for me, you know, because I'm 190, 195 pounds. I fluctuate between 190, 195. I'm a little over 6 foot, almost 6'1". So I'm right there, you know, where that ideal weight for a person my height should be, right? So I'm pretty much textbook in terms of my body mass index. And I wasn't too far out of that range when I was diagnosed with a fatty liver. So obviously I was like, wait, what? Fatty liver, you know? So that's actually pretty common, especially living in America and people not eating the greatest of diets and things like that. I haven't, you know, obviously the bigger concern is if that fatty liver progresses into something like cirrhosis later on. But you really have to pound your liver is very, very resilient. And I've studied on this. After being diagnosed with a fatty liver, I was the type of person that I walked out of the doctor's office and was like, oh, hell no. Hell no. I went home immediately, changed my diet, stopped eating fatty foods, cut down on my sugar intake, made sure I was drinking tons of water every day, started doing high intensity cardio, like aerobic type exercises. I went freaking fanatical. And that was, so it was it's probably more like 5 years ago at this point when I got that diagnosis. And I haven't looked back. I haven't stopped since. I haven't skipped a week. I've probably skipped 1 week in that last 5-year period, where maybe I didn't work out, but I've been very, very committed to it. And I definitely lost some weight, and, I hadn't gotten my liver retested, but, I lost 25 pounds during that time. And, there's no telling. Whatever damage was done to my liver is probably done. But one thing I know, they didn't find anything more than just fatty liver. There was no cirrhosis, no lumps, or, it wasn't cancerous or anything like that, which is the main thing I was worried about. A fatty liver can be reversed. Your liver is the only organ in your body that you can do damage to it, and then your liver can self-heal, and the damage can be reversed. Your liver, and you can look this up, your liver is the only organ in your body that somebody could go into your body, slice into your body, literally snip your liver in half, which actually they would have to take like some big garden shears because your liver is like this big. It's the biggest organ in the body. Somebody could take your liver, chop it in half, and guess what? Over time, your liver would ultimately regenerate to its full size. Can you believe that? It's crazy. The human body is just such a miracle. And believe it or not, the liver is the only organ that has the ability to do that. You could literally cut your liver down to this big. Just a little bitty, tiny little baby liver. And then it would ultimately regenerate and grow back to its full size, which is just mind-blowing. But God, creator, whoever, life, whatever you want to call it, biology, they know it knows what it's doing, right? Because your liver, like I said yesterday, is the first line of defense for filtering out toxins and stuff like that. So your liver is made to be able to just take insurmountable amounts of abuse. Now, obviously, there's a limit, and there are certainly people that end up getting liver cirrhosis and have to get a liver transplant and all the rest of it. But it takes a long, drawn-out period, and I'm no medical staff, but from what I understand, it takes a long, drawn-out period of just repeated abuse, for years and years and years and years and years and years to get to that point where your liver just completely shuts down, right? So, furniture and bedding, 776. I'm sure you're probably good. If you're somewhat of a young man and you haven't done the whole beer thing, you didn't do that for, 30 years straight, 40 years straight, 50 years straight, your liver, you'd be surprised. Your liver is the most resilient organ in the body. But I'll just expand on a couple of things here. Some of the things you say sound similar to some of the things that I say, which I find that very interesting. I'm one of those people like, well, it's better than this, it's better than that. And listen, you're not wrong. You're not wrong in coming to the conclusion that, well, taking some kratom per day is likely better than, drinking a case of beer every day. It's probably true. But just as somebody said to me the other day, just because it's better than still doesn't mean it's good, right? And that. You said that in here. You said kratom isn't great, but and it's not. And it's one of those things where you just have to really decide. And I noticed you said in here, I don't plan on staying on it forever. let me just say this, and obviously I'm not judging you, my man, because I took kratom, for about 4 years straight, and I'm still taking kratom. I've just been putting days in between when I dose on the kratom at this point. So more recently, I've just been taking it on the weekends and not taking it during the week. That's my attempt to kind of stay away from the physical withdrawals. But I will say this: everyone says that. Everyone says, well, I don't plan to take it forever. I'll come off of it one day. But then because it's addictive, what ends up happening is that day that you quit never comes. Because if you don't want to quit today and you're not able to, put the time together off of it in the days together of abstinence from kratom, if you're not able to put that together on Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, it ain't gonna be any easier Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of next week, or Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next month, or Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday of next year. It never gets easier to quit. You know what I'm saying? Because that addiction and that craving is always going to kind of draw you back, right? And that's fair to say. So while I agree with you, and listen, you said here, now I'm exercising, I'm eating healthy, taking vitamins, I'm losing weight, and even putting on some muscle. That's great, and that is an awesome thing. But just be careful not to get caught in that trap that I've gotten caught into and many others have gotten caught into, right? Trying to negate, or my whole thing is, well, I take kratom and it's not good for you, but hey, I'm outworking the shit out of it. That's my whole thing. I try to live a healthy lifestyle outside of the kratom use so that I can say to myself, well, it can't be that bad, because look at me. I'm healthy, I'm fit, I drink tons of water, I exercise vigorously every week, I eat super healthy, only put things that are, high nutrition, very highly nutritious and lots of fiber and stuff. People talk about being constipated when they're on kratom, and I'm like, bro, I ain't never constipated. I'm never constipated. But why is that? It's because when I was taking kratom regularly, I was never constipated. But it's because I drink a ton of water. I keep hydrated. It's because I eat tons of fruits and vegetables and high fibrous foods. It's because I exercise vigorously to always keep my digestive system moving and flowing, right? Sedentary lifestyle and poor diet and kratom all together, that's no bueno, son. That's no bueno. Because then you're not only doing one thing that can tend to cause constipation, you're doing a second thing, and a third thing, and a fourth thing, and you're doing all of these things combined. That's why you hear people complain about stuff like constipation with kratom, because I've never had that issue. But it's because kratom is the only thing that I was doing that could potentially cause that side effect, right? So I'll say two things about this. The first thing is, great job. That's awesome. You're obviously in a much better spot than you are when you were drinking 24 beers a day and eating crappy. That's the truth. But the second thing I will say is, what happened to mine? There we go. But the second thing I will say is, be aware. And I want to caution you that way of thinking will keep you locked in to taking the kratom, justifying it by saying, well, I take kratom, but I do this and I do that right, and I do this in a healthy way, and I do this and I exercise and I eat healthy, and listen, I'm not throwing off on you at all, because you're supposed to do those things whether you take kratom or not. And I would recommend that to anybody, whether you're going to take kratom or whether you're not going to take kratom. You still need to be doing those key things. You still need to be exercising. You still need to be drinking tons of water. You still need to be eating a healthy, balanced diet. Those are all good things. So I'm definitely not saying anything negative, but I just want to caution you that the mindset in and of itself will serve to keep you taking it, because you've always got that, well, I'm taking kratom and that's not good for you, but I'm doing this healthy and that healthy and that healthy, you know? So if you do want to come off of it one day, I don't want that mindset to kind of keep you locked in. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you know, and a lot of it, you know, and I've been bad about that too, is, you know, is pointing to the physical and like, well, I negate all the negative physical stuff with Kratom, right? Because I do all these things right. And all these things that people complain about their skin being horrible, it fucking up their gut, you know, being constipated, being tired all the time. And so, you know, I never experienced that when I was taking Kratom regularly. And my theory on that is because that was because I did all of these other things right. Almost, I was very disciplined. Very disciplined. I'm still very disciplined, and almost disciplined to a fault, you know, that I always did the right things with that. So for me, it was kind of like, in some ways, it made it harder to want to quit, because I was like, damn, you know, I hear everyone else's account of their experiencing this side effect, this negative side effect, this consequence, this side effect, this withdrawal symptom, this and that and the other. And I would look and say, well, damn, I must be good, because I'm not really having a lot of that. You know, I'm good. My bowels are good. I don't get tired all the time. You know, my hair's not falling out. My skin seems the same, you know. So I had all of that, and I think in a lot of ways that served for me, with that addict mentality, that served to kind of help keep me locked into it, because I always had that to fall back on. Yeah, Kratom's bad for me in this way, that way, and this way, but at least I'm not having all these physical symptoms that a lot of these other people are having, you know, and I attribute that to living a healthy lifestyle outside of Kratom. So I just don't want you to get caught in that. And, you know, in your comment here, I hear some of that in your speech. So again, you're not wrong for, you know, being proud of the fact that you're doing the exercises, the eating healthy, all those things, but don't allow that to be an excuse and a scapegoat to keep continuing to use it. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to decide whether it's good for you, whether it's bad for you, and whether the good outweighs the bad. And not to mention, you have to decide whether, hey, you know, I may not be experiencing a lot of physical symptoms, and maybe my physicality is much better at this point now that I've come off the beer and the eating poorly, and I'm just doing the Kratom, and it helps to keep me off the beer and all this. But you have to realize that there's a mental component to all of this too, and that's kind of where I'm at. I never experienced a lot of negative physical side effects of the Kratom. For me, getting to a point where I wanted to change my use and curtail my use, it was mostly mental and emotional. You know, and that's the part that a lot of people don't talk about. That's the part that a lot of people brush up under the rug, because it's just something that, especially as men, we're just uncomfortable talking about. Like, oh, dude, like, fucking, I'm allergic to feelings. Oh, hell no, feelings? You know, as men, it's like we don't have feelings. We don't have bad days. We don't have depression. We don't have anxiety. Bullshit. You absolutely do. And then a lot of times you end up having more, because it's something that, you know, societally we're taught to kind of push down and don't talk about. It's weakness, bro. That's weak. You know, talk about being depressed. What do you mean you're depressed? What are you, a pussy? You know, I mean, it's true. It's like, in a lot of ways with men, that is, you know, being weak is considered synonymous with talking about feelings and expressing your feelings. You know what I'm saying? That's something I'm trying to get through to my son, my 17-year-old. Like, this kid is allergic to talking about his feelings. And if ever he is backed into a corner and kind of forced to, he gets super emotional. And it can be like no reason whatsoever that he'll just get emotional. It just makes him emotional to even talk about it. And that, you know, that concerns me about him, you know. But it's one of those things where, you know, everybody's got their thing. You know, everybody's got their thing that they struggle with. But he also, has never tried drugs and alcohol, ever. And he doesn't have a desire to at this point. And for me, as a dad who's struggled with addiction, I'm like, hell yeah, yeah. You know, and when we're around someone or one of my family members and they start talking to him about it, would you like to try? You know, I'm like, no, he's not interested, and I don't want him to be interested. You know, because if he tries it and then he likes it, and then he ends up like his daddy, struggling with an addiction, like, I'll never forgive myself. So he's 17. He doesn't want to try it. I was already getting drunk with my friends when I was 13 years old, okay? I don't want him trying it. The fact that he's not interested in trying it right now, I am A-okay with that. 2 thumbs up. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm kind of getting off the rails there. So, Furniture and Bedding 776, great comment, man. I appreciate you jumping on the channel. You're absolutely welcome here. I'm glad to hear that you've put down that 24 beers a day habit. That's great. I do think you're in a better place with Kratom. I just want to caution you. Your mindset sounds very similar to mine. You know, kind of the whole justification of, well, you know, I'm taking the Kratom, but now I'm doing all this right. There's always that but, you know, but I'm doing this right and that right and that right. And it is good that you're doing all those things right, but don't let that keep you locked in long term. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, thanks for the comment, dude. Going on to the next one at Mark. Man, I'm having trouble with this name. Jaregi? This is a tough one. Jauregi 8138. I'm just going to call you Mark, dude. Sorry, I know I butchered that. I didn't read this beforehand, and I wasn't sure how you pronounce that name, or that could be 2 different names. But anyway, Mark says, I have tapered from 20 plus grams a day 2 weeks ago, now down to 4 to 5 grams. Took L-lysine yesterday and was surprised I got the best sleep I've gotten in the last 3 months. Don't know if it helped with the RLS feeling I had in my entire body. And I asked him about this because that sentence confused me a little bit. That's one full sentence. He says, don't know if it helped with the RLS feeling I had in my entire body. And it confused me because I'm like, how do you said you got the best sleep you've gotten in a long time. How do you not know if it helped with the RLS if you took it? So I actually asked him for clarification on that because I'd like to know, because I'll suggest it to people. You know, if in the future I would ever need it. Fingers crossed, hope that doesn't happen. But the L-lysine, I've not taken the L-lysine. So if it can help with sleep in a situation, a withdrawal sort of situation, I'd love to know that, because I will absolutely recommend that to people on this channel. He says, gonna try it again tonight. Thanks for sharing your content. Mark, you're absolutely welcome. That's great, man. You're down to 4 or 5 grams from 20 grams. That's a very significant drop. I think that's awesome, man. That's amazing. Keep doing that. We're here for support throughout that process. So Jamin Zeno 6424 says, I've been in the Kratom pickle many times. For me, it always starts off by me convincing myself that I'm going to just take it one time or just on the weekends. The problem with me is that it always eventually leads me back down that rabbit hole, and over time it becomes a daily habit. I've went cold turkey 2 times and I was taking at least 50 grams or more a day. I don't recommend going cold turkey at high doses. I agree. So all you people out there taking 50, 60, 100 grams per day, tapering is the way to go. I would not do a cold turkey. The best way to kick Kratom is to switch over to capsules if you're on powder, or extracts, and figure out how much you take daily. Take your daily dose and divide by 6 for 6 doses throughout the day and night. Every day or 2, drop 1 capsule off each one of the 6 doses, all the way down till you're at 1 capsule 6 times per day, then make the final jump. That's good advice in terms of the taper method. He says every day or 2, drop one capsule off of each of the 6 doses all the way down to you're at 1 capsule 6 times per day, then make the final jump. I've heard of this before. Not everyone does it that way. The way I did it is like I would cut off my morning dose first. I'd take 1 capsule off my morning dose, and then I will, every time I removed a capsule, it was from the same morning dose, right? Until eventually I got to a point where I wasn't taking the morning dose at all. And then I would just take my afternoon, then my evening dose. Next, I will start with the afternoon dose, my noon or 1 o'clock dose, right? And then I would take a capsule off of that every 3-4 days, right? Then the last one, the last time of day of the dose that I touched would be my evening dose, right? And then I will start to remove that. And I did that to try to, you know, keep the lion's share of my dose at nighttime, because most people report that the worst part of withdrawals is the insomnia, the RLS, the not being able to sleep at night, right? So you want to keep as much of the kratom as what you're currently dosing on. You want to keep as much of that for the night times as possible to kind of help navigate around that whole insomnia and restless leg piece, because people got shit to do, man. People got jobs, people got school, people got responsibilities, you know, they have to go and be a part of every day, you know. So it's one of those things where I would rather feel a little down, a little less energy, a little shitty throughout the day, and then be able to get good sleep at night, rather than, you know, feel good throughout the day and then be laying there all night tossing and turning and restless legs and you know, just feeling terrible. And I think most people feel that way, which is why the night times are your last dose to start chopping down, right? But anyway, Jamin Zeno, thank you very much for the comment, bro. And you know, that one hit home with me, because he was saying, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten in that kratom pickle by saying, well, I'm just going to take it once, or I'm just going to take it on the weekends. Eventually, it always leads back down. And, you know, that's where I'm at. Right now, I'm just kind of taking it on the weekends. And, you know, I don't really have any withdrawals at this point, so I'm honestly considering just not taking it this weekend, and then just, you know, I don't know. You'll have to tune back in to see. But it's something I've been considering a lot recently myself. Because I know eventually there's going to come a time where I slip up and take some during the week, and then I'm just going to be back on that same schedule, and I don't want that. But, you know, so that one really hit home with me, because he's kind of talking around where I'm at right now, you know. And for most people, it does seem to always lead back to that. At Boom Jitsu, hey Cory, still sitting at 4 grams per day, split into 2 doses. I've been struggling lately with wanting to up my usage. Been staying strong, but some days I entertain the thought of saying screw it and taking more. Yeah, I feel that, bro. You're so close, man. 4 grams per day, that ain't shit. That ain't shit. It seems like you're just kind of trying to hold on to it a little bit, which I know that feeling, bro. I know that feeling. Being that low, I would say go ahead and chop that in half, man, and just do 1 gram twice a day. Do that for a few days, and then, bro, just go ahead and make the jump. You know, go ahead and make the jump. I mean, you're at such a small amount. You shouldn't have a lot of issue with that. Get yourself some kava, man, some vitamin C at night, and you probably won't even lose a whole night's sleep off of that. 4 grams per day is not much. At Ron 5309, what did you use for RLS at nighttime? They used to say Stem and Vein was a good sub throughout the day, but I don't even see that anymore. The restless legs can be tough at night. I tend to just take some red to get rid of that. I'm assuming you mean the red strain. I mean, I wouldn't recommend taking the kratom to get rid of the RLS, because that kind of defeats the purpose, in my opinion. Unless you're doing a taper, and like I said, you're saving your biggest dose of the kratom for that day for your nighttime, so you can avoid the restless legs. But outside of that, like, if you're off of it, and if you've like done a withdrawal or something and you're completely off of the kratom and you're having restless legs at night, I wouldn't say taking a strain of kratom is the answer to getting rid of the RLS, because, you know, it's the kratom and taking the kratom on a regular basis that has caused you to have the RLS in the first place when you stop, right? So I would say use something like kava, try the vitamin C. People swear by magnesium, like Calm. I have some Calm powder that I used to use. People swear by that, you know, kind of relaxing you. I would say the kava's not really habit forming, because the kava doesn't really get you high like that. It's kind of a body relaxation, but it's not like it's completely different. I can see why they say it's not habit forming. I never had any, you know, I never had any desire to just, oh, I can't wait to take some more kava. It just never hit me like that, because it doesn't get you high the same. It doesn't make you feel good the same. It doesn't give you the euphoria, doesn't hit those opiate receptors, that sort of thing. So, whereas I know some people tend to have just addictive tendencies, and I know there's probably people out there that would take it just to be taking it because they're used to taking something, but I truly, honestly feel that it's not really the feeling of kava that you're getting addicted to. It's almost like a smoker who's addicted to this motion right here, you know, just using a toothpick, just having to have something to do this, put in their mouth and then take it and then hold in their hand and then put back in their mouth and then hold in their hand and then put it. That's what I equate kava to. I don't think it's necessarily addictive in the same way. I can see someone coming off of something like an opiate taking kava more often, but it's more or less just because they're used to taking something, and kava kind of, you know, fills that void. It does relax you some, like in body and mind, but it doesn't give you like a good feeling. It relaxes you, kind of calms your mind a little bit. So in that way, I guess it could be said that it relieves anxiety a little bit, because if you're a person that tends to have a racing mind, which I am, I'm a person that tends to have a racing thoughts, and a lot of times, unfortunately, a negative thought will creep in and that will race in your mind. I'm not horrible about that. I've gotten better as I get older, but I think a lot of people are that way, and in that way, kava can help kind of calm that, you know, to just slow your mind down a little bit, to where you're not just like this thought, that thought, this thought, that thought, this thought, that thought. But it doesn't necessarily give you like a good, like, ooh, I feel really good sort of feeling. It just affects you in a completely different way. So that will be my recommendations to you, my man. Stop Spying on Me said Joey Talks got deleted off of YouTube, actually. It's a shame. He mentioned this because I said something yesterday about I'm not trying to be like a Joey Talks on here, encouraging kratom and stuff like that. And I didn't realize this. He just told me Joey Talks got deleted, and I didn't believe him at first. He sure did. I went on and you know, looked him up, and he's started a new channel called Joey Talks Life, because YouTube literally ganked his channel down because he talked too much about kratom. Now listen, guys, I have 412 subscribers right now. This is still a small channel, but sometimes when I go to talk about other stuff, you know, people give me shit about that. Like, bro, I had a guy the other day, stick to kratom, please. I'm like, bro, I don't want to talk about kratom all the time. I've sacrificed 5 to 6 months of my life talking about this shit, and then you got a guy like Joey Talks who had 30-something thousand subscribers and had been doing it for 4 or 5 years, that channel, and YouTube just comes in just like that. All his shit's gone, all his hard work's gone, all his subscribers gone. I looked at his new channel today. He's got 1.6 subscribers. This dude doesn't have like 3 times the amount of subscribers I do right now. And I'm a very, very small, in the beginning sort of channel. He's literally had to start completely over. You know, I talk about kratom a lot on here. So I'm telling you, there's gonna come a time where I'm gonna turn this channel into something else and just kind of start talking about other shit. And I'm gonna use code words for kratom and just call it something else, and I might mention it every once in a while, talk a little bit about it here and there, but I'm gonna generally just start talking about life and other stuff, and just, you know, being a strong, active and emotionally sound person, I'm gonna just start talking about shit like that. I got a degree in human development. You know, I know a decent amount about psychology, and I know how to apply it in life. So eventually I'm gonna do that. I don't want to work my ass off for a year, get up to a couple thousand subscribers, and then turn around and wake up one day and YouTube's deleted my whole channel. So for all of you who are like, stick to Kratom, man, nobody wants to hear about all this other shit, we want to hear about Kratom. Bro, YouTube will delete your shit. They don't like people out here talking about Kratom because Kratom has a bad vibe in a lot of cultures. It has a bad vibe in a lot of groups of people who have a lot of power. Okay? So if I continue talking about it over and over and over and over and over and over, and especially if my channel starts to get bigger, there's a good chance that they're going to find it eventually. The algorithm's going to locate me, and then they're going to gank my shit. And then I would have done all that work for nothing. So that's what I have to say to all you out there who, when I speak about something else, jump on and say, stick to Kratom, please. It kind of irritated me when he said that, which, bro, nothing against you, but it's my channel, you know, and I'll talk about what I want to on here. I know that's why most people subscribe, but, you know, I spend a lot of time on this. So I have other things to offer. And if you bother to ever sit and listen, you'll see that. You'll hear that, you know. And so I ask for that support. I hope I continue to get that support. And I hope that if I get to a point where I kind of start morphing into talking about other things, that I don't have a bunch of people say, well, I ain't listening to this shit, and unsubscribe to my channel. I mean, if you want to be that way, you can. But I would appreciate support. I've supported you guys over and over and over and over and over with this sort of content. You can support me if I decide to do something else or morph into something else and talk less about Kratom. I gotta go, guys. See, I told you, look at that, 37 minutes. I said I was gonna make it short, and I did 37 minutes. This dude don't do short. All right, I love you guys. Y'all have a good weekend. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Leave a comment down below. Cory is out. Peace.